Welcome back to this brand new video episode of Rip and Rock. That is former professional baseball player Ryan Ripken waving to the crowd like he did in his playing days. And I am Fox 45 sports anchor Rocco DeSangro. We got a lot to talk about on this episode. The biggest, most important topic of the day is that O's rising star Jordan Westburg, he narrowly avoided a serious injury. So great sign for him going forward. And we're going to talk about this grueling month of June, Rip, as well as wrapping up the series with the Boston Red Sox. All of that and more on this brand new episode of Rip and Rock. You want to start? You want me to start? Let's just jump into it.
Yeah, you know what? I will start with it.
Nice.
And also to keep it more up to date, we want to, you're welcome here. But if you guys want to know more up to date, we're recording this podcast on Wednesday. It will be out on Thursday. But if you want up to date on all Orioles topics, you should check out Rocco and I on X. He is at Rocco DeSangro on X or Twitter. I am at Ryan Ripken. That's where you can see up to the date. And I think I tweet a lot. Rocco is even way more on top of it. I like to give him a hard time, but he actually does a pretty good job. You're a good kid, Rock. But you know who's also a great kid is Jordan Westburg. And I was really nervous, Rock, after he took a pitch. If you guys didn't see it, against the Boston Red Sox, Jordan Westburg took a pitch off the hand-wrist area. And there's one of those moments you hold your breath. Why? Because all those bones that are running down the side of your hand into your wrist. And as a guy that's been hit in that area before as a player, it really can affect your grip. And you don't know if something in there could be off. Luckily, though, Rock, correct me if I'm wrong, x-rays came back negative.
Negative. And that's always a great sign. Sometimes it's confusing. Are the x-rays positive? If the x-rays come back negative, it's positive for the fan base. If they come back positive, then it should be a negative reaction. So it's kind of like flip-flopping what you're expecting.
Negative good, positive bad, right?
I guess you can call it that.
In this case for Westy, the x-ray showed no breaks. So really it's just going to be pain tolerance. And this could be, honestly, the best time for him to try to rest. The Orioles have the off day on Thursday. He'll get the rest in the series finale. And the biggest thing for him is going to be pain tolerance. What I was talking about is, imagine then you're trying to grip the bat. And if you got to be able to swing and you have to snap your wrist, that's going to make it more challenging. So for Jordan Westburg, can you feel that you can go and be 100%? And the one thing I just don't want it to be is something he has to miss multiple days and get out of rhythm, Rock. Because is it fair to say Jordan Westburg, he might not be the most valuable Oriole like Gunnar or Adley Rutschman, but he probably is the glue of this team that really takes them over the top offensively.
Big glue guy.
Big glue
What he's
guy.
able to do is invaluable. I mean, Jordan Westburg, over his last 7 games, Rip, I'm bringing up his stats right now. He has 8 hits, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, and he's hitting .308. So Jordan Westburg has not only been phenomenal this season, but he's starting to heat up again. So you hate the injury, or not injury because he avoided it, but we're going to call it that because anytime you get hit on the wrist, it's not a good thing. It's not a positive thing. So what he narrowly avoided is good. Like, he narrowly avoided serious injury. Maybe we'll call him a little bit banged up, but he did say he's feeling better. That's what kind of all signs point to. And the Orioles, on top of that, they have an off day Thursday. So potentially they can get Jordan Westburg back as early as Friday. So we'll have to really wait and see what happens.
And really, depending on where he got hit, this is something that can linger for a couple of weeks. Because again, it's going to be pain tolerant. If there's no bone broken, it's just going to be a bone bruise or a bruising of some sort. And actually, I've had bone bruises in my knee. I had a bone bruise in my hand. And it's really just going to be, how much pain can you take from it? Maybe just where you feel more soreness than you feel pain. That's the ultimate hope. But the goal is Jordan Westburg doesn't miss a lot of time, and the Orioles are going to need him. I know as we talk about this, we are wrapping up the Red Sox series. So this episode is dropping Thursday, and the Orioles haven't played the finale against the Red Sox. So why don't we just do a little bit of a recap on this Red Sox series so far? The Orioles offense blew the doors open in the opener. Everyone, it was a hit parade. You get a hit, you score a run. Unfortunately, not everyone got a hit, though, by the way, but everyone actually did score a run, Rock. The offense was great. Game 2, a little bit different story. Offense got going for both teams, but then the pitching settled in, but specifically the Red Sox pitching settled in. The bases loaded jam that they got out of, and they end up stealing, I shouldn't say stealing game 2, because they earned game 2, and they get their first win against the Baltimore Orioles in 2024.
Yeah, and it's going to happen. You knew that the Red Sox were eventually going to get a win over the Orioles. Maybe not the way that fans would have hoped it happened, but you know what? A win is a win. The Red Sox got theirs. Hopefully the Orioles, they can take care of business, close it out, and get a big series victory taking care of business in Game 3 against Boston, because it would be no better feeling for this fan base and for this team than sending a division rival packing with a series loss for them.
Yeah, and the other part, too, is the Red Sox have had a lot of their injuries as well. I mean, on the pitching side, their lineup is not what you would expect besides Rafael Devers is still there, and he had a great game, too, that really set the tone for that offense. But for the Red Sox, they're still top 3 ERA in baseball. And actually, at one point during the series, Rock, the Orioles were the 4th best team ERA-wise, or I think actually they were ahead of the Red Sox. Whatever it is, it's changed. But even as we talk about this now, the Orioles, Yankees, and Red Sox are in the top 6 in team ERA. So the Red Sox are doing a lot of great things here. But yeah, if you can be able to continue to separate yourself and continue to win series and beat your rivals, it's a great feeling for Baltimore, especially if you look at the lineups. The Orioles should be favored. They are the better team on paper, but you got to go out and execute in situations. Orioles did not execute with the bases loaded, no outs in the, I believe it was the 6th inning. That was the changing point of the game. Red Sox get out of it. They tack on some insurance, and the rest is history.
You can't leave 10 guys on base and expect to win any baseball game. And if you only score in 1 inning out of 9, you can't expect to win a baseball game. And the Orioles, when they score in the 1st inning, they had a very favorable record. I think they had only lost like 1 or 2 times, and that might have been their 2nd loss when they score at any point in the 1st inning. But in this case, you score 3, you don't score the rest of the game. You can't do that. It's like,
it's runners in scoring position. It's taking advantage of your opportunity. So the game, when they won in game 1, they were 5 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Stowers had 2 RBIs with 2 outs, right? It's those little situational moments that win you ball games. And if you don't take advantage of that, more times than not, the team that executes the best is going to win the baseball game. And that's why the Red Sox took game 2. Hopefully they don't take game 3. But regardless of it, Rock, whatever the result is here, this month of June is looming, and not even looming. It's about here with Tampa Bay starting off that first series. And if you could just run people through then, actually, as we think about this for just 1 second. As we think about this for 1 second, though, Rock, you think about it for a player, guys like to play a lot. They want to be in the action, right? But playing almost every day, that is something where it's going to be very taxing on your body. And do you mind diving in a little bit to what the schedule fully entails here for Baltimore in June?
Well, Rip, they have some very good teams, some talented teams, not only from last season. You look at postseason teams that were in it until the very end, but you look at some of the teams that are at the top of baseball this season. And you look at a team that got off to a hot start last year. They're going to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. They're going to host them for a 3-game series. And then they are going to go to Toronto for 4, then Tampa Bay for 4. So those are back-to-back 4-game series against divisional opponents. And then, listen, they may be down Ronald Acuna for the rest of the season, and it's very unfortunate with the knee injury season ending. It sucks when that happens to one of the top players in baseball. We hate to see injuries happen to those guys especially. But the Braves are still a very good baseball team. Still a very talented roster, one of the most talented rosters in all of baseball. And they get 3 against Atlanta here in Camden Yards. Oh, wait, after that, another NL East foe, one of the best teams in baseball, if not the best team in baseball right now. You can look at the record, but I'm talking from a talent standpoint as well. That's the Philadelphia Phillies. And then they have 3 at New York, 3 against the Astros, 3 against the Guardians, and then 4 against the team that ended their series last season at home against the Texas Rangers. So a very grueling schedule. And listen, 1 day off is one thing, but to do it against the teams they're doing it against, like who in the Orioles front office or on their roster ticked off the higher ups in Major League Baseball? Because this is insane, man, to look at this. Like, I'm not complaining for the Orioles, but the teams they play and the amount of time they have off, it's just like, it's kind of crazy to sit here and look at it and be like, wow, a team gets this schedule right now in the month of June.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, as a competitor, I am amped up. Now, again, am I going to be very damn tired? You're absolutely right, because your body's going to be put through a lot. But this is where it's going to get fun and stressful. And I'll say it might be fun for the players if things are going well and for the fans, but it could be stressful also for the players and the fans, because when you have those games over and over again, you don't have any reset. You just got to keep moving and moving, and you hope that your team can be in a rhythm and you're feeling like you're in sync, right? And these opponents, even though you can say that the Blue Jays are underperforming or the Rays aren't being the typical Rays that they are, divisional opponents, anything happens, throw it out the window, and these teams are fighting for their season. They're fighting to get on track. And then, yes, by the way, I find it very interesting that right now the Phillies obviously are playing great baseball.
Best record.
That one off day that they have, the one off day for the Orioles is sandwiched in between playing the Philadelphia Phillies, the best team in the National League, and then playing the AL East leaders right now, the New York Yankees, on the 18th. So June 17th is the only off day, but it's going to be great. And the Guardians, man.
It's my birthday, by the way.
Really?
You going to wish me a happy birthday on the O's off day?
I might.
Thanks.
I might, but I might be off too. We only celebrate when we're working, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
Just kidding, thanks. Rock. We're going to throw a party for Rock here. We'll just come in for your off day. How about that, bud?
All right. Thanks. Sounds good.
He seems excited. But I mean, look, this is actually exciting here though, Rock, for the schedule. Besides your birthday, and you are looking 1 year younger, not older, but your hairline's going back one more foot. Mine's going to go back 3 feet by the end of this year. So in general, though, with this team, if you're a baseball fan, there's a lot of talented players on these teams that they're going against.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the beauty of it. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question.
Ask me a question.
If there's one thing that you want to see shape up, or one question you'd want to see more answered over this stretch, what would it be?
Just for the Orioles in general?
For the Orioles in general.
I mean, I've asked you this all the time because I feel like this is
on the
fan base's mind all the time. It is, how is this bullpen not only going to hold up right now in a stretch like this, but is this a bullpen you look at and you're like, okay, we can win a World Series with these guys in the bullpen currently right now, what this group looks like right now and how they're performing right now. I think if you polled the fan base, the vast majority of this fan base would say no. They would say no. They'd say we need another arm, or we need more talent, or this, that, or the other thing. But I feel like the confidence meter, it is down right now on that group.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that we're going to find out a lot about the bullpen, a lot about this team in general at this point, because I think we've seen some ups and downs from players. And I told you this, the best time to get an assessment is going to be after this month.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you're going to find out where they're at. And I do think, Rock, that they are going to look into bullpen help because they're trying to upgrade their team. They're going to look even at options, probably offensively, not a priority to look at, but Mike Elias and the front office, they're going to look at what would be available. Now, if more injuries happen in the pitching department, there's more struggles, that might even expedite the process and prioritize the bullpen for being a move. Because right now, they truly have Craig Kimbrell as a guy that will close out games, a guy that will be in high leverage situations, Danny Coulomb. They will throw Cano, but I think it's fair to say Cano seems more comfortable in a more set up role. Personally, that's what I think or feel. But in general, you don't have guys, they're playing a lot of matchups. You want to say, hey, 8th inning, this guy's getting the ball no matter what. And that might not be the philosophy that Brandon Hyde wants to live by, but you are going to need to get guys that you feel comfortable pitching late in the games, not just playing the matchups. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. It's, I know O's fans won't like this reference, and I know right now in the bullpen, the O's don't have necessarily two guys of this caliber, but it kind of brings me back to the Yankees years ago when they had Tom Flash Gordon as the setup guy, and then you had Mo just shutting it down, Mariano Rivera. But again, a Hall of Fame closer throughout his entire career. It's like Craig Kimbrell, I believe, will go into the Hall of Fame. You believe will go into the Hall of Fame. He's got the numbers. He's got the accolades. He should be there. I don't know whether it's going to be first ballot or what ballot he's going to get in on, but he will be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. But you look at that bullpen, you knew who was coming in the later innings to set up the guy that was your closer. Like I said, I know O's fans aren't going to like us talking about Yankees here, but when you had Felix Bautista, you have that shutdown guy. You know he's going to close out the games. And am I comparing Felix Bautista and Mariano Rivera right now? No. They're two completely different players with what they're able to do and how they go about it. And Felix is just a massive human being. And he's just he'll blow it by you at 102, 103, whatever he can throw. But when he was here, you knew you had, okay, Cano was coming in later in the inning to set him up, and Felix was going to shut it down. So it was like that 1-2 punch, and it's a reason those guys were all-stars because of what they were able to do in the later innings. So right now, I don't think the O's necessarily have that. Like you talked about the roles.
It's roles.
You don't know which guys are in which roles. You assume that Kimbrel is going to be the closer, but then you had what happened early on in the season. And hopefully that's in the past. Hopefully the O's are on the right track, and that's all behind them. That's all behind Craig Kimbrel, and he could turn it around and continue to progress like he has been. But you truly don't know what's going to happen. It is a long season, right?
Well, the thing, too, if you're saying, and I still am a huge Craig Kimbrel believer, I never wavered on him because I trust what he can do. But if you're trying to keep Craig Kimbrel fresh, you need to have somebody else in that role. And how do you have someone else, or how do you do that? You need to not be able to tax him. And how do you not tax him? Then guys have to be able to feel fresh themselves, because that's where it's pushing the limits of guys like Cano and Coulomb, where they're not being able to be as fresh because they're getting used more in situations because they are trying to maybe rest Kimbrel, even though I think that Craig has responded extremely well. He's had the scoreless outings, knock on wood, since that outing against the Nationals. I believe it's 7 straight. So all of it factors in. It's all umbrellaed in together. But the one thing that we know for certain, Rock, is that the teams that the Orioles are playing, look, the strength is going to rely on that starting rotation. You still got Burns, Bradish, Grayson, and Cole Irvin has pitched extremely well. You're hoping to get Dean Kramer back here in the future soon. Albert Suarez has shown that he can. This starting staff is going to be the anchor for this team moving forward. But these are some really tough lineups. So when you get later in games and you're seeing the Guardians, Jose Ramirez is a player that's not talked about enough right now. He is a great RBI guy, one of the best bats in all of baseball. The Yankees and Phillies are self-explanatory of who they already have. But there are these other teams that you got to account for, and it's going to take a lot of effort to get through this month. And the Orioles too, Rock, I think this is true. Last year in 20, I know it's true. What am I kidding? Trust yourself. Everyone out there, trust yourself. The Orioles didn't have a losing month in 2023. And so far, that's been the case here in 2024. This month of June is going to press it. But if you come out of this month of June over 500,
that's the hope.
Then you are going to be in great position.
Over 500, keep it grinding, keep the wheels turning, and I think the Orioles are going to be in a good position coming out. And you know what? The bullpen is going to be tested. Mm-hmm. And I think Mike Elias, going forward as the trade deadline approaches in July, he's going to see, okay, these are the guys that we can rely on. These are the guys that we need. These are the guys that we can potentially go out and win a World Series with. But then again, we have some guys that maybe we need to figure some things out with. Maybe we need to bring some guys in. I feel like a lot of questions, not necessarily all questions, but I think there will be questions that have answers when we get out of this month, regardless of what happens. It's just like you're going to know, you're going to get a better idea. And like you said, Rip, you got the Phillies are the best team in baseball right now. Then you have the Guardians that are a half game back overall record-wise, and then the Yankees. So you have the top 3 teams in baseball. The Orioles are 4th. You have to play them. And then you have to play the Braves. So it's like you have 4 top 10 teams coming in here. These teams aren't slouch teams. They're not bottom of the barrel MLB teams. They are good. They are talented. But you know what? The O's are going to go up against the best of the best. But I'm sure these teams are going to get their best as well going forward. So hopefully some really good series. Hopefully the O's can build a new regular season series streak, and it can really, really start in the month of June, because wouldn't that be something?
It would be. And again, just to close that all out, as a player, you relish these opportunities. If you're to get some of the best teams coming in town or going on the road, you're ready for that. You love that. It's just going to be, can you handle it when things don't go your way? And can you keep pushing past all the adversity? And you can just roll through it. That's the goal here. The Orioles have the talent. It's going to be fun. Get your popcorn ready. We'll talk more about these series, obviously, as they progress here. Tampa Bay, as we said, is the first one on the list for Baltimore. But I think that kind of does it, because in between these episodes here, wasn't a ton to talk about because of the 2 games, the later game on Wednesday. But as always, we're doing this every Monday and Thursday. Episodes are dropping. You can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube. There it is. Look at that camera. Then you're looking at that camera. on YouTube so you can watch us and actually see if we're interacting well and maybe guess what else is going through our minds. But for Rocco, Ryan, I'm Ryan, and Jimmy here, my wording's way off here. I'm sorry.
Get us out of here, Rip.
I'll get us out of here.
Episode.
On this note, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to Rip and Rock. We will see you again for a brand new episode on Monday. Have a great weekend, and we will talk soon.